The movie Fruitvale Station was about my nephew Oscar Grant. Michael B. Jordan played Oscar Grant.
As well as Ryan Coogler, that was his first movie.
Hello everyone and welcome to Living Room Chatz. I'm your host, Amylah Charles, and today we have two special guests, the esteemed founders of Love, Not Blood campaign
and Families United for Justice,
an organization that helps families directly impacted by state-sanctioned violence. It's a pleasure to have you both here today. I'd like for you both to introduce yourselves to our audience today.
Well, I am affectionately known to the community as Uncle Bobby, the uncle of Oscar Grant. And for those who may not know, the young man killed January 1st, 2009 in Oakland at the Fruitvale Station. And a little additional, the movie Fruitvale Station was about my nephew Oscar Grant. Michael B. Jordan played Oscar Grant.
As well as Ryan Coogler, that was his first movie.
Wow, that's amazing.
I am Sister Beatrice X, also known as Aunt B. I'm the co-founder of Love Not Blood campaign. I am the auntie of Oscar Grant, as well as the cousin of Gail P. Keaton Smiley, my cousin who was killed by the Detroit police. And I'm also the baby sister to Dorothy Jean Dale Chambers, who was killed in Phoenix, Arizona, by vehicle homicide by a privileged white boy who was being protected by the whole system, and that happened in 2022. So we're still fighting to make sure that that person is held accountable for killing not just one but two people. He's killed my sister and her companion Joseph Gutierrez, and they were both in the crosswalk.
Wow.
But they were unsheltered at the time, so they deemed them a throwaway. But they must know they are not, and we will never stop fighting for Dorothy, Joseph, Gail, Oscar, and all those who have been killed unjustly by this systematic injustice of white supremacy and racism.
Yes, well put, well put. And just to give the audience a little background on how we all met, I unfortunately lost my friend to police brutality, Lofton, and we met through his brother actually at the conference that they have every year. And it was an amazing event to be surrounded by families that understand what you're going through, and to show, you know, to be met with individuals that are living with grief, because it shows that life doesn't stop at grief, you know, and to see people smile again and to see you guys dancing and being so passionate about what you do. It was definitely life-changing for me and helped me in how I carry my grief. So that leads me to my next question. Why is it important to have a support system when going through grief such as this?
Well, I guess if I respond to that, and the wife consistently says our motto is healing through resistance. And what that entails is us bringing families that has been impacted by the same, which is police violence, right, together, so that no one will feel alone or isolated as if they're the only person that has been impacted by this egregious act. And by bringing these families together, there's various levels that each family member is at. Some has had 20 years experience in dealing with the pain and marching for justice, and others are just 2 weeks from the death of their loved one. And so we allow these families to come together, to work with each other, to heal each other, to find ways to understand that they're not alone. And then to grow from that and recognizing that there's others just like you that's further down the road that are still smiling, that have found a way to smile, but yet also sharing with you their strength and their hope, that you also find the way to get justice through the healing process of losing your loved one.
And I also like to say that we can never, we call it healing through resistance. And we call it healing through resistance because the process of healing through the trauma that has been placed on our lives, to get up in the morning, okay, to be able to walk out into the world, stand out in the world, to do that is incredible, because I was with my sister-in-law, Wanda Johnson, as we went through trial for the killer of Oscar Grant. And in 2010, when we were in court in Los Angeles, I witnessed her and what she had to do with herself internally just to step her feet on the floor, to get dressed, to go and sit in a courtroom that feels like slavery. Because to sit in the courtroom of a system that's not for us, a system that's not designed to give us justice, after a loved one has been killed, that pain, that suffering, how do you get past that to continue to fight? Is that you got to do healing through resistance. You got to laugh. We got to make them laugh. We got to make them dance. We got to make them bring out the stuff that they haven't touched on. That's why we have karaoke during the lunchtime. Some of those families have never sung, and some of them used to sing but stopped singing because of their loved one was killed. And so we try to bring the joy back to them, even for a minute, because a smile for families impacted by police and loved ones killed by state-sanctioned violence is a frown upside down. At any given moment, they can be hit with that reality. The reality of someone being killed by the police or being killed by state-sanctioned violence, it never goes away. You go to bed with it. You all day with it. You wake up. How do you navigate a world that's already jacked up? Like, ain't no, okay, your loved one got killed. You're waking up. You're not waking up to lilies and poppies. This world gonna go out and help you? No, you're gonna see so much devastation in a day, in a life in America, that how do we stand? How do we stand? Even a person who hasn't lost a loved one, how do you stand in this society that is right now so wicked and so cruel to human beings? People have lost their humanity for humanity.
Right.
Yes.
Early on in my journey of grief, I felt like I had to stay mad, and if I were to enjoy myself, that would be, it wouldn't be right, because I was like, they're gone, and I'm carrying this weight, and I feel like everybody should just be mad. Everybody should just be upset. Like, how could you smile? And that was me early on. But as I continued to understand myself more through this process, I'm like, my friend Cedric would want me to smile. He would want me to have a great time, and just growing with that and being like, okay, I have to live and push forward for him, live and push forward for other people I've lost as well. And to attending that conference and to see you guys dance and be so excited, and still carrying that love with you, but it to me it was like a celebration of life. And like their life did not stop when that violence struck, and it lives through us, through the memories and through the chances we take and the people we meet. So I really appreciate you guys throwing that conference, because I saw so much life in the room.
And if I could say too, in closing that, or not necessarily closing it, but our joy is an act of resistance. And so we emphasize that we have to find a way to smile. That's why we have karaoke, right? That's why we have the various activities, so that these families can remember that they still have life. And though the pain is real, and if we can get you to smile for just a minute, because we know this pain is a lifetime, but that introduction to that joy brings them back to life. And then they can move on instead of just being clammed up in that anger and the pain.
And it's temporary. That's what people don't understand. Please don't ever judge the families and be like they over it. That's what we tell people. They're not over it. They just with other families that know they pain. That's why we don't have media coming in. We've done this for 10 years. We could have media. We could have blown it all over it's over the universe, but by word of mouth. But we could have had it on we don't allow media come in. You know why? Because it's for the families. It's their time. They need to feel comfortable to know that whatever they do in this moment, laugh, cry, be happy. But the tears at this conference is temporary because our motto is good vibrations only.
That's good.
And that is
I like
that is what you have to have to come. We tell the families, you have to have good vibration. If you have any issues, put it in the box and address it after you leave here. And this is so important, this work of healing through resistance in this week, Thursday through Sunday, because this helps those families go back and fight a whole year. They can't wait to come next year. They can't wait to come next year, right? Yeah. Because what they get there, money cannot buy. You can't buy that. It's something that God in the universe stirs up and moves around. Everyone was so happy. They are so full right now. We're trying to fight for their loved one, do what I got to do. They've been inspired by other families who have been working in it, or just by a family who just lost their loved one a week or 2 weeks ago. But you're here. You here. You're standing. You're in line. You're not crawled up in a corner, because that's what happens. You're not in that dark hole that you know at any given time you could be in that dark hole.
Grief is definitely a journey, and I like how you guys expanded upon that and how your organization helps families like deal with that. I know like sometimes, you know, in the Black community, a lot of times we try to just stuff stuff down or sweep it under the rug, but I enjoy how you address the joy and you address the sorrow, and that's a really important factor. That leads me to my other question. Do you guys have a piece of advice to those carrying, you know, that grief, something to tell the audience?
I'm sure I'll let you elaborate, but I did want to say this. That is why so we have workshops, and the families vote on the workshops, right? We have, what do you want? We say legal or whatever, but the first workshop that we have right off the bat is mental health care. And I will say, like you were saying, our community have an issue because it's been put on us. We can get mental health care, it's okay. You can get mental health care. That does not mean that you're crazy. Well, hell, I'm crazy, y'all. I mean, okay? So I'm working on that. But who wouldn't be? Why wouldn't our people need mental health care after 460 plus years of oppression that continues today? We have people that go to mental health care and get it all the time just to live with money. So why wouldn't we need it to overcome 460 years of oppression, and they still killing us, and they still treating us in this manner? Why wouldn't we need mental health care?
And I guess if I add to that, we suggest that, you know, because the number one workshop that we have as a presentation is mental health and understanding trauma. And in order for you to move forward, you have to understand some of the mechanisms that is used to help you get out of the bed. And when you hit that anger spot, how to breathe and how to find that joy, you know, that insight that can help bring you out of that anger back to that stage of construction rather than destruction. And so our suggestion is, first, the mental health understanding aspect. And then to remember the good times with your loved one, the joy. And even to go out and dance, listen to some music, have some fun. And of course, if you have other siblings or children, or whether it be siblings or children's, or even a parent, recognize your aunties, you know, share some love with them, despite the fact that your mama might be gone because she was killed by the police, or your father. You know, if you have children, you know, embrace them and love them, because you cannot allow yourself to be so caught up in seeking justice for that one sibling or that one child and forget you have others. You know, because that can happen, and it has happened. We see that, and so we try to help steer that negative energy into positive energy, where it's all about love.
Right.
Because until we understand that we have to center our journey on love, it's hard for us to be unselfish. And so we become selfless in a way that we give what we have to others in order to keep the joy and the smile on our face so that we can continue to move forward.
And it's why we are Families United for Justice. So let me just say, Hillary Clinton did not start the Mothers of the Movement. Okay? Uncle Bobby did.
Period.
And
Let
I
'em know.
say that with receipts, okay? In 2010, of September of 2010, he had this thing where he wanted to have 1,000 mothers, and he had it at Oakland City Hall. And we work with mothers, and we work with mothers and every year in July 8th, which is verdict day, the first officer in California history being charged, arrested, and convicted and sent to jail, which is Johannes Mesley, the killer of Oscar Grant. We would have these events, and he would say, turn the mother's pain into purpose. So he would do that. So this work really started with mothers. But it does not just affect mothers. It affects fathers. Then he started gathering fathers. And that is why we are Families United for Justice, because we got sisters, aunties, cousins. It's not just affected by the immediate family. It's the entire family.
Right.
It is. I
And
love
so
how you mentioned
that is why our #1 campaign is Families United for Justice. And it entails the whole family. It's a tribe. It's a tribe that nobody wants to be a part of. But when you're here, then we have to unite. U-N-I-T-Y.
UNIT.
Yes, we have to do that so that we can have power to change it. All of this, we're talking about healing, but at the bottom line, it is to change and hold police accountable.
It is.
Period. And I think Uncle Bobby can go into that. Yes, we do this, but there's another side to Love Not Blood campaign and California Families United for Justice and Families United for Justice, which is that we get these laws changed. And then once we get them changed, as we know, you got to force them to do it, because police, I'm not going to say all, but you know who you are, a law don't mean nothing to them, because they break laws all the time and are never held accountable. So we get these laws changed, then we got to turn around and go to court and make them obey the law. Isn't that something? How do you think these families feel after they have loved ones killed by someone who's supposed to uphold the law? Then you work tirelessly to get these laws in place, and then they still don't want to do it. You got to go to court and do all this extra work to make them, to hold them to the law. Just think about all that. Just think about walking in somebody's shoes who that is their actual reality. How do you sleep with an officer who killed your loved one that's back in your community? And that's why healing through resistance is important, because most people want to take somebody out. You know what I'm saying? And where do you get to the state where you just ain't killing somebody for killing your loved one? So that's what that work is about, because then you throw your life away for this no good person. You sit in jail. But it can easily happen any day with any of these families having one of them days, and it can happen.
And I think that's why, you know, we talk about Families United for Justice and the conferences we have. And we don't invite one family member. We always say you bring, whether it be a significant other, a child, a grandchild, a brother, sister, an auntie, whatever, someone that you have a relationship with in the family, come to support you, so that not only are we giving tools to the actual mother or father that's been directly impacted, but also the sibling or the auntie, you know, the cousin, so that them two can figure out how to have that support system among each other in that family. Because you'll hear a lot of families say their real family are folks that has been directly impacted, because sometimes they lack other family members that understand the struggle and the pain. So that's why we try to incorporate the family, because you don't want to just walk alone in this, in your in your family. You want someone in your family that believes in what you're doing, help support you, become a part of the teamwork, building that unity, providing the emotional support. And when the times get real tough, you pull each other up.
Right.
You know, so you're not alone. And though you have a network of other families, it's just always good to be able to tap into someone that you have grown up with or you know in your family. But the network in itself, having those numbers, if you don't have that, make that call. Because we, the ones that has been impacted, can help get you out of that bed, can help change that direction that you're going that can be destructive, and stop it to help it become back constructive, right? And so, yeah, this journey is about not walking by yourself.
And only the strong survive. A lot of family members don't have family members to support them because they can't handle it. Like, you know, marriages break up when loved ones are killed. Family members break up
Yes, they do.
when loved ones is killed. This is some serious dynamic destruction that happens when someone loved one is killed by state violence, murder, because there's so much dynamics that it touch. Like some people believe, well, they can't beat the system, you know? Just imagine that. Your loved one is killed and then, you know, and they're not going to do nothing anyway. And, you know, some people have that. And if you have, some happen, they drink themselves to death, they do drugs, they do whatever, because and you can't judge them, because it's overwhelming. And that's why it's important for these families to have families who are like mine, who is willing to fight. Like these families be fighting. I don't care. They is not giving up on the fight at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It doesn't matter. The family of Emmett Till, we work with the family of Emmett Till. That was in 1955. They're still fighting. Guess what? They still want justice for Emmett. Okay? To this day, that's their loved one. So it's not going to go away for those who has this spirit to fight for accountability. It's a struggle to stay in it, but you can't lay down. So you're forced to be in it. These families that's fighting, they're forced to, because if they lay down, they'll fall down. They'll get caught up in all that stuff that keeps you down. So you got to get back up. They'll tell you. And they may be down for a minute. They might check out for a month or two, but come back, you know. But you do have to stop the world and get off. Go to sleep, you know. Don't watch no TV. Don't, you know, watch some comedy. I'm just saying stuff I have to do. I got to stop and get off. Sometimes it's so overwhelming, you know, especially with my sister being killed in 22. You know how many, we have over close to 1,000 families in our network. Families that call, like, this job is never over, this work, because people call us 24 hours, and all the years we've been working for FIT, we never not take their calls. So we have to do self-care. And we just learning that. Trust me, we done beat the hell out of ourselves most of these years. So we're just learning that in the last 3 years or so, that we have to do self-care. Like, even though we do the work for 15, 10, 11 years ago, we would go to a city and we would see the city, and I think that carried us for some years. But after a while, that wasn't enough. We had to do something extra. Like, you just got to stop and take some time for yourself. You know, you got to go to a concert. You got to take a spa day. You got to hang out with the grandchildren. You know what I'm saying? You got to do something that has nothing to do with that, so that you can do self-care for yourself. So the families, they have to do that. And so being in this work all this time, it's taking a toll on us. We've been in the black hole. He's been in the black hole his way. I definitely been in the black hole. And I think the last, from 2022 when my sister got killed, that was probably the blackest period of my time. And to get up out of that, you know, working, doing this work all the time, and then you have another family member, it just keeps happening, and you have to keep fighting, and, you know, and keep fighting. Like the family to tell you, nobody want to keep fighting every day, but you must.
Yeah.
I think if I could talk about what comes out of the networking and all that, we've had family members. Crystal Brown out of DeLand, Florida is a good example. Went back home and ran for commissioner of the police department that actually killed her husband.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Other family members has went back and began to articulate to city council various pieces of legislation and local laws that came into existence because of the murder of their loved one. And for us here in the state of California, being able to gather impacted families here in the state of California, we were able to pass several pieces of legislation, and I'll cite a few. For example, you know, AB 71, the use of force data collection, tells us how many folks are being killed per year. With that piece, we were able to go to AB 953, which is the Racial Identification Profiling Act, because we wanted to know the demographics of who was being stopped, and then understand if that stop led to a death. Of course, we then proceeded to get SB 1421 passed, which is the right to know. Officers that was involved in the shooting, whether they killed or not, which is 2. Officers that falsified investigative reports, and officers that were involved in sexual crimes. That gave us the right to open up their record to become much more proactive in helping to try to stop this. Of course, AB 392, the most stricter use of force legislation in the nation. Which was coined the Stephon Clark Law, right? Because of what happened to Stephon in Sacramento. You know, to eventually leading to, after all these years, Gavin Newsom appointed me to the SB2 decertification board, which I sit on today. At the table, now able to be a part of a board that can actually have officers decertified that acted so egregiously that it warrants them not to have a badge in the state of California as well as in this nation. So they go into a national index database too that can help prevent them from being reemployed, because it's not all police officers, but there are many that is involved in crimes over and over and over. And it's those that are called the wandering officers that we had concerns about. So those are just some examples. But the Kenneth Ross law, which was SB2, right, stemmed from what happened to him in LA, because the officer had shot 3 or 4 other people prior to Kenneth Ross. You know, again, the Stephon Clark law passed. You know, the idea of with families coming together, empowering one another, and the good that comes out of these conferences with the new invigorated spirit to continue the journey to get justice for their loved one by means of articulating their story to the city council locally, to eventually getting to the state legislators, to having champion various bills that are being passed, not just here in the state of California, but around this country. So impacted families that are at the table now, helping to really bring about the real systemic change that we need concerning this egregious act.
Right, and I see from what you're saying, activism is happening in a lot of different sectors, you know, in legislative places, in media, in the conferences, and that leads me to, you had mentioned the movie about your nephew, and how did that impact your family, and what was that process like?
Wow, so I mean, it was very impactful. When Ryan coined the idea, he actually pitched it to Forrest Whitaker, and we were in trial. And Forrest had mentioned that, you know, he wanted to speak to the family about this young man. And we really didn't want to hear it at that time, because we was in the frontline struggle. But as that came down to an end, he said his name is Ryan Coogler, and he would just like to speak to you about this idea he has. And he came and he talked to us about how he wanted to present this movie concerning Oscar in the way he was loved by his family. That word go again, love. Because others had came and wanted to do a documentary and they wanted to focus on the tragedy or we'll just say the rebellion that took place, you know, concerning in the streets or just the movement itself. But he identified Oscar and who he was and how he was loved and how his daughter really just looked up to him and radiated with him. And so he wanted to expand upon that. And so when he pitched that, we felt it and we just let it go. And of course, we was on the set and we were able to witness. He was able to get Michael B. Jordan to play Oscar, Octavia Spencer to play Wanda, you know, my sister, and Michael B. Jordan being on the set with him. You know, it wasn't like he was getting paid because this was a low budget film, but they came and they did it out of love. Forrest Whitaker had to go over to China to get the actual funding to help get the movie really started. And it was from there that Octavia Spencer did it out of love, not being a mother herself, but she had to sit with Wanda and understand motherhood, but felt it was such an important aspect of telling the story. Michael B. Jordan, the same thing, you know, and then of course Ryan, having that vision, knowing that he could have been Oscar. He was on the BART train the night Oscar was murdered. Being from Oakland, being the same age, and, you know, of course, wanting to tell this story, a form of activism in itself through the, you know, the big screen, you know. And so when it was produced, and when it was all said and done, and we saw it, Michael B. Jordan played Oscar so well, he brought him back to life. And it just took off from there. You know, it was very powerful.
And let me say, so when we had the screening here at the Grand Lake, this is all historic stuff that we have to tell or people won't know. The Grand Lake, the whole cast was here in Oakland, including Forrest Whitaker, everyone. And we, Uncle Bobby and I were blessed to introduce them to Oakland. And when we were in Sundance, that's when we first saw the movie as well. And I have to say that a lot of people were mad about the movie because a lot of people made a lot of sacrifice for Oscar Grant. The activists, you know, everybody, really people were arrested, their life changed, everything. So when this movie came out, there was a lot of activists and people who sacrificed were kind of angry at his angle of what he did. But they didn't have his mission. At that very time in 2013, the black man, male, and black life needed to be uplifted so people can know that it mattered. Black lives matter. So his vision was to give Oscar Grant humanity, show that he was a human being. But see, that's why people have to understand, stay in your lane. You can't come and dictate somebody else's purpose and mission because you don't have their mission. If that's any advice that I would give, I know one of the questions was, what advice would I give to young people? Stay in your lane. Support everybody in their lane because people's vision may not be your vision. Ryan was blessed with a vision, and his vision definitely lifted the black young man. Oscar loved his daughter. Oscar was trying. He had trials like most black males have in America, and it showed the human side and that he was a human being, a loving human being, which the society does not see us. And people did not understand that from Ryan. But just remember, on July 12th is when Fruitvale Station hit the theaters. July 13th, Trayvon, George Zimmerman got off.
Got acquitted.
I got off, like I said, from killing Trayvon. That forced people to go and see that movie. A lot of people went to go see that movie. And just think, when they went to go see that movie, Oscar is Trayvon. Trayvon is Oscar. That movie let them see Oscar and Trayvon and black males as human beings. Because as far as they were concerned in Florida, it did not matter. That man walked away killing that young man. But Black Lives Matter.
And then you mentioned how he approached, how Ryan approached the film from a love aspect, and that reminded me of the song that said, "When nothing else would help, love lifted me," and that just really stuck with me. I like how he is humanized, and that how that connected with you guys, so it spoke to you guys' heart.
Right.
And I think that it's important to humanize people who, you know, become victims to police brutality, because they're more than a name on a shirt. They're more than something we chant. They were humans with likes, with dislikes, with love in their heart, and they're not criminals. They're not just simply a poster or just a headline that passes by on the TV screen. They're our loved ones. They're our friends, and that's why I really love sharing my memories about Cedric, my friend, and it just, they live on through their the memories that we have of them, and that's so important and so profound, and it's the main reason why I like to innovate media representation of disenfranchised groups, and so it's more than just a name to me.
And the way Ryan was able to cross over, because when we were sitting at the Sundance Film Festival watching the movie for our very first time, because we could have seen it before we went there, but we refused to. We said, we'll wait. And of course, we just asked God to, you know, make it right. And of course, it was made right. In an audience of 600 to 700 people, everyone left out of there crying. Majority was white folks.
Wow.
And they all felt that Oscar could have been their loved one. And so that ability of showing Oscar in that loving way helped people see Oscar as a human being, and they related to that. And so that's why Oscar and what Ryan did in portraying the movie the way he did with Oscar was so powerful, that really radiated what we feel all around the world. And so many people that wouldn't even have paid any attention to who Oscar was, because, you know, the system tried to criminalize him, dehumanize him, and demoralize him, in which it did, but we always attempted to try to uplift that. Ryan, through the movie itself, allowed folks to see Oscar in his flaws, but also recognize his heart, recognize him as a human being.
And can I say, you know, we work together, we're a team. For me, with Sundance, it was about 500 people there, right? It was about 10 or 12 black people, including Forrest Whitaker. This would include Forrest Whitaker, Octavia, and us. It was no more than 15 to 20 black people in there. And yes, they were moved, but I'm going to say, I don't think they felt like it could happen to them, because most people know that that doesn't happen to people, Caucasians and their children. They get special treatment when they get stopped by the police. That's not going to happen to their child. Most likely. Yes, there are some Caucasians that are killed, but they are part of us. They're in our community, or they think they're, but on a norm, that's not. But I do think they were moved by that. They were moved in that moment. And why am I saying this? Because being moved in a moment does not push a movement. Once you left there, what did you do?
Right, action.
Because we saw that again in New York. We was in New York at a screening at this private Jewish theater in New York. And they were all old people. No, I bet you nobody was under 70. I'm just saying. It was like that crowd. And they were moved in that moment. But what happened afterwards? And so I just want to say, yeah, they were moved in that moment. But in order for this and for us to win for police accountability, that kind of community is going to have to be more than moved. And we're not there yet, because it doesn't happen to.
Right.
You know, it doesn't happen to them. It's sad and all that. And we talk to people, like we talk to people in Walnut Creek. We talk to Caucasian people, a whole audience. We don't bite our tongue. We tell the truth. And one thing that we say is that you go talk to your family members. Talk about this at your dinner table. Uncle Bobby told them to wear a shirt of a black person at your dinner table. What kind of conversation are you going to have? Because all of this is for nothing if we're not going to change it. Because I have children, Caucasians have children, Latinos have children. We have children. Are we going to subject our children and our grandchildren to this same sick, horrific, terrible reality?
Right.
Are we going to do that? And that is why we do this work. It is not for us now. It is for the future. It's for our children, our grandchildren, and yours too. Everybody. Because I think Martin Luther King said this. I don't quote him often because I like Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan. But I will say this right here, that he did say about society, right? That our children are our future. We have to do this for them. We have to be able to live in a society where you are not judged by the color of your skin. It just came back to me. But the context of your
character,
your heart and your character. We do need to get to that. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be.
I'm not, I'm a Muslim, right? I'm in the Nation of Islam, right? We're not taught to judge people by their color. But we're in a society where that is the order of the day. How do we get past that? How do we get our children past that? Because past that where they don't have to encounter it. Because if you put children together, they don't care. They're going to play. They don't have no issues. It is grown people with their stuff that interferes and ruins these children. And then they grow up and we stay divided. But we have to be willing as a society, as a people, to come together and do what Martin Luther King said. Judge a person not by their skin color, but by the context of their heart and their character.
If I can add another part of Martin Luther King's thing that I love. See, cowards ask, is it safe? Expedient asks, is it political? And vanity asks, is it popular? But conscience asks, is it right? So Martin Luther King says there comes a time when we do this not because it's popular or political or safe, but we do this because it's consciously right. And until we get it here, that we have to do, and this is for all the young folks, all the young activists that are out there, don't be afraid. Do this because it's consciously right. And sometimes that means that there may be some obstacles that want to deter you from thinking and doing the consciously right thing. Don't be afraid. Don't do this because you want to be popular, because that's not what this is about. Don't do this because it's all about political. It's about what's consciously right. Because if we fail to do what's consciously right, it'll be our babies, our grandbabies, and our great-grandbabies' demise tomorrow. And this is for the young folks, because you have a generation of people you're going to bring into this world. And if we fail to stand for them today, it will be their demise tomorrow.
I want to thank you for mentioning that. Thank you both for coming here. Thank you for the sacrifices that you both have made and how you led with love. And I'm seeing through you guys that love is an action word. Love has action behind it. It has passion. It never fails. And I appreciate you guys for just, pioneering the charge. And it's so motivating to me because I have some days where it's hard to it's hard to do. It's hard to carry that. But you guys give me a lot of faith and hope. And I thank you guys for coming to the living room, because no chat is too taboo for us to discuss. And I'm thankful to call you both Auntie and Uncle B. So I'm looking forward to the journey ahead and even coming to the next conference. And I truly appreciate you guys coming today. If you guys want to learn more about their organization, you can visit their website, which will be up here on the screen. But thank you for joining Living Room Chats, and stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.